man.
This is such a cool, like, full circle moment for me because, I mean, genuinely, this guy's videos were some of the first pieces of content that actually helped me understand how to eat.
Like so many of you, Ryan once struggled with weight, motivation, and self-doubt, but he pushed through and achieved what once felt impossible. Surprisingly, Ryan is also a subscriber of the channel. I bounced into him in the gym, we chatted, I thought he was so cool, and now we're here, and I want to find out more about his journey. So very first question I have for you, your name's Ryan, we know that because I said that in the intro just now.
Yes, sir.
So what do you think led to your worst physique, and how did it happen?
At my max, I was 265 pounds. Yeah.
What's your height?
So I'm 6'4".
6'4",
right? So
okay.
that's a weight that typically you can carry a bit of a heavier weight. I mean, you're
for
tall
sure,
too.
100%. Yeah,
You can carry a bit of a heavier weight.
You're 6'4"?
Yeah, bro.
Damn, you're taller than me. Damn.
But yeah, so I mean, my worst physique came. I'd always struggled with my weight. I grew up a fat kid with a skinny frame.
Oh, okay.
And so anytime I tried to lose weight, I would end up getting really frustrated, right? Like I would just end up skinny fat or skinny fat. And I would always kind of go up and down, and I could never really land on a body composition that I really liked.
So you always had like a chubbier physique?
Yeah, I spent most of my life really big. I got really skinny in high school. Like I think in high school, I got as high as like 230, 240.
Okay.
And then as low as like 170, which at 6'4" is like...
Okay, so you kind of yo-yo'd. But you also, you always had like almost like a skinny fat physique.
For sure, for sure.
Okay,
like
cool.
even at my leanest, I kind of expected that I would be ripped.
Yeah.
But I would just end up having like a smaller belly. Anyway, what led to my worst physique was... there was a lot of factors. Like it was the pandemic, obviously, right?
Pandemic,
so that's number one is, I was stuck in my room and I started drinking more.
Didn't try to work out.
I did, the pandemic was actually when I started to develop a bit of a routine.
Okay.
Like I had some like 45-pound power block dumbbells in my room. I had a bench, and I just kind of built myself like a basic little program.
Oh, nice.
The problem wasn't that though. Like it was the eating. I've always struggled with eating, man. I've always had a sweet tooth. I've always loved to eat a lot.
Yeah.
And
same. I don't blame you.
Yeah, bro. I was smoking a lot of weed. I was drinking a lot, and I kind of went through some stuff in the pandemic too. Like
a lot of people.
A lot of people did.
Stuff.
A lot of people lost people, and I lost some family members, and I kind of just was taking it out on myself. So I reached a point.
I'm going to get into that. That's the next question.
Yeah.
So what was the specific moment or event that made you decide to make this change?
Oh, man, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I remember the moment.
We all do.
Yeah,
we all remember that moment.
Right?
Yeah.
That rock bottom. Yeah. So for me, my rock bottom was basically... I was a big weed smoker. Like I smoked a lot of weed, and
by the way, weed is legal in Canada.
Yeah,
so you all know.
Yeah, don't get me in trouble. I don't do it anymore. But at the time, I was smoking a lot of weed, and there was this one night I was sitting on the porch of my mom's house. It was like 2 a.m, and I was hitting a bowl, smoking a bong, and I remember I pulled the smoke in, and I breathed out, and I couldn't breathe in again. Like I was out of air. My lungs were really full from like all of the abuse that I'd done to them in the like past 6.5 years of just smoking every single day. And I almost had a panic attack.
Oh my God.
And I'd never had that feeling before. I'm not really an anxious person. And I started kind of hyperventilating, trying to get air in. And I couldn't. And for like
Was your mom there?
No. This was, I waited until she slept, and she didn't really like that I was smoking, obviously. I remember I was fighting for air for like 10 to 15 minutes. And once I started breathing again, I like everything hit me at once.
Okay.
I was like, man, what am I doing? Like, I've always loved fitness. I've always wanted to be fit. I am working out, but like I'm messing it up with everything else I'm doing. I'm drinking a lot. I'm smoking a lot. I was in a toxic relationship at the time. And I was just like eating myself into an early grave, basically.
Damn, okay.
And I had this moment like right then and there. It was freezing cold. I was looking at this dirty ass bong in my hand, and I was
God,
like,
I feel like I could imagine what you're talking about right now.
I was just like, man, forget this. Like I have to go all in now.
Nice.
It was one moment where I was just like,
what year was this?
Mid 2021.
Mid 2021.
This is like the end of winter in 2021.
Okay. So your initial goal was to lose weight. You didn't care much about building muscle.
I did though. So that's the thing is my goal was actually body recomposition. Not just weight loss. Because as I mentioned, like every time I'd lost weight, I ended up skinny fat.
Yeah.
And I was convinced, I was like, there must be a way to do both, because that was kind of one of the things that was in the fitness industry at the time, which was like you have to focus on one or the other.
Yeah.
If you try to do both, it's not going to work out for you.
You can't.
And in my head, I'm like, that's BS, man. Like,
Yeah.
there's definitely a way to do it. I just have to learn the science about it and do
exactly.
it correctly. So that's what I started doing. Funny enough, it was one of your videos that popped up on my YouTube shorts. It was one of the type of videos that helped me. It wasn't just you, but you were part of it. Because one of your YouTube shorts popped up explaining like macro counting, basically.
Macro counting,
yeah, because you had a couple of those went viral. Like, I remember a few of them had like hundreds of thousands of likes and stuff. And it was very simple. You were just kind of breaking it down, like how to adjust your body weight and control it yourself. You just have to count your calories, count your protein, and then you can kind of adjust your numbers and get the results you want from that.
So what were some of the biggest challenges you faced during this transformation?
It was the first period, man.
Period.
I always say this, like, building momentum is so much harder than maintaining momentum.
Yeah, so true.
So when you're like at your heaviest and you have no momentum, you haven't started, and
it's so hard. That's the hardest part to start,
dude.
And you probably didn't. Did you see? And you probably didn't see results the first few weeks either, right? Like,
I did though.
You did?
That was the thing. It wasn't the hard part. Wasn't getting the results, because for me, I'm very like, when I actually set my mind to something, I just go all out.
Okay.
And so that's what I did. Is like I changed every bad behavior I had in like a week, which I don't know if
that's a fast.
It's a lot, right? I don't know if that's the best for everybody, but I'm an extreme person. Like, I'm a person where I'm all in on something.
All in,
or I'm all out.
Okay, I have a really good feeling what your personality is like now.
Okay. It's intensity, man. It is what it is. There's a reason why I'm also a boxer, right?
Basically, not many challenges.
That's not the case. It wasn't. So it's easy to look at it like, oh, I had physical results, so it wasn't challenging. What was challenging was like I changed like 8 bad behaviors in a week. I stopped drinking. I stopped smoking. I literally threw my bong out that night. I stopped like ordering Uber Eats. I started working out consistently 6 days a week. Started doing cardio 5 days a week.
Damn.
Counted every calorie I put in my body
from the get-go.
From the jump.
Oh, how did you do that? I feel like most people would probably have to start with 1.
Right. I don't
know how you did that.
I had this fear always growing up. I don't know why, but I was like I was okay being a fat kid, but I didn't want to be the fat guy.
Okay.
Like, I would watch, shout out to Jonah Hill, because I watched Jonah Hill movies. And he was like the fat guy. And he was funny and all that, but I remember just being like, man, I don't want to be that when I'm older. Like, I want to be fit. I want to feel good in my skin, and I never had that feeling.
Never had that, because you grew up being fat.
I was just used to it. That was like my reality. But then I was at a point where, it was 2021, so I was like 21 years old.
21 years old.
Yeah.
Oh, man. What's your age now? You're young.
I'm 26.
Okay, 26.
Yeah. So I remember I'm like, okay, this is like my chance. I have to go all in. And if I go all in and I fail, then I will accept and be happy with being the fat guy. But it was like a deal I made with myself.
I see.
It was like, I have to go all in and see if I can get the results. And if I fail only going all in, then I'm going to be like, all right, you know what? I'm going to eat the burgers and the cookies.
And you didn't fail. You clearly didn't fail.
So there's a lesson in that, right? There's a lesson
100%.
that you go all in, you typically get the results that you want.
For sure, 100%.
Yeah.
I do feel like it's really hard for a lot of people to go all in. I feel like there's only a minority of people that could go all in.
So for anyone watching, remember this. I am a specific kind of person.
I'm sure there might be some people that are watching that might be like you, but
they might,
I do think still there's only a minority of people that have that all-in mentality.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, that's cool. That's cool to know about you, though, 100%.
Yeah.
So how did you stay motivated when it felt like you were not making any progress? But I think you told me you just...
No, I had my moments. I had my plateaus.
Okay.
Yeah, like I cut 75 pounds in about 7 to 8 months in total, and I ended up recomping. Okay. So when I got lean, I actually like had abs and delt striations. Like I looked good and I felt good. But it was hard. It wasn't easy work.
No, I know it's not hard, man.
Yeah.
That's not easy work. That's why I have lots of respect for you. Like,
thank you, man. Thank you.
I know how much discipline it takes to make such a huge transformation. It's not easy.
No.
It's not easy,
So I would say like it's interesting. Your question was, how do you stay motivated in those moments where it gets hard? It got hard a lot. I hit a lot of plateaus. I would get stuck at certain weights and stay there for a week and then feel like, oh, maybe this is where I'm going to end up. But I wasn't satisfied. The thing that you got to do in your head is make a distinction between motivation and discipline. It's easy. You know this too, because you're also a gym rat. It's easy to go to the gym when you feel good, or like maybe you're a bit pissed off and you got some energy and you just, you go to the gym, you hit bench and like, that's easy. But then what about the day where you wake up, it's like -10 outside, it's a snowstorm, you don't want to work out, but you know that you told yourself yesterday, I'm squatting tomorrow. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
The key is understanding that you don't always have to feel like I want to go to the gym to still go to the gym.
Accountability.
Accountability with yourself and understanding that discipline is not the same thing as motivation. Discipline is showing up and doing what you have to do no matter how you feel.
100%. What changes did you make to your diet and exercise routine?
Oh man,
what was the big changes with your diet?
Yeah, so diet was the biggest thing, right? Good programming is really important, but I'll start with the diet. I started counting my calories. And it wasn't something that I wanted to do every single day for the rest of my life.
But that's mentally taxing.
No, it's too much. But you probably understand this too. Like, you just want to do it to get to a point where you start to understand the things that you eat consistently.
Oh my God, big move. Do it for a while, and then you're able to almost like eyeball and you're more aware of like the food that's going into your body.
That's right. You see a plate of food and you're like, okay, 400 or 500 calories there,
exactly,
58 grams of protein, etc. Right? So that's what I did. I literally just educated myself, man. I didn't want to leave anything up to chance.
Would you say that learning that was like a complex learning curve? Like it was hard for you to learn, or would you say it was easy?
Like, you know what? I would say it was simple, but it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
So there's a distinction, right? It's like it was simple in that when you break everything down, like everything is just energy. All food that you eat is...
Here's what I think.
Yeah.
I think people not knowing how to track calories is probably one of the biggest factors that's stopping them from reaching their body goals.
100%.
Once you learn that, you spend 1 to 2 months maybe learning that. The world is yours. Absolutely. The world is yours. I 100% think that,
You cannot out-train a bad diet.
What about your training routine though? Like, did you know much about training when that happened?
A bit. The training, I'd started working like with a decent programming that I wrote myself like during COVID, right? Because as I mentioned, I had some power blocks, I had some benches, I had a bench, and I understood inherently, like without doing too much research, that you just have to work out like each body part a couple of times a week if you can. So, but I didn't really know too much about progressive overload. Like I was just kind of doing it to get sore and recover, right?
Right.
And then as I started to get more into the diet and stuff like that, and understanding how to, track my calories and whatever, I also started to learn more about programming. So in the same way that I researched food, I researched training, and I wanted to understand.
Internet. Bro, you learn everything from the internet.
The best.
Honestly.
It is the single best time to be into fitness. There's so much information out there.
There's so much.
Yeah.
Maybe a few years ago I would say there's more bad information than good information, but I think in 2024 there's so much good information on the internet.
Absolutely.
And you're right, it's the easiest, like it's so easy to learn so much about fitness, So
absolutely.
What advice do you have for those dealing with setbacks, like missing workouts or overeating?
Man, just understand that when you make a mistake, the mistake is made. You're not going back in time.
Hey, you know what? You're an all-in person.
Yeah.
I feel like someone like you, if they made a mistake, they'd be really hard on themselves.
Yeah. And that was a big lesson for me.
Yeah.
That was a big lesson, was understanding that your progress in fitness is never linear. It's never linear.
Never linear. Never. That's the big thing, man.
Yeah, it's super important to understand that. You need to have ups and downs, and then the average ends up going up.
The trend is up.
That's
overall,
right.
But
as long as you're winning the game of averages, it's okay to miss a workout. It's okay to miss a meal. It's okay to have your cheat meal, your binge, whatever, as long as you just get right back to your routine the next day.
What's the most surprising thing you learned about yourself during this process?
Oh, man. That's a good question. I would say that I can count on myself.
You can count on yourself.
Yeah, because for a long, I feel like when you make a habit of not showing up for yourself, skipping the gym, eating whatever, you develop this like distrust towards yourself. You can't trust yourself to show up because you haven't been. But then once I kind of hit a routine, it was like I was okay with doing the cheat meal because I trusted myself to get back on it tomorrow.
Okay.
Like one bad meal.
Seems like you're really good at just having accountability for yourself.
That's what it really is, right? And then when you lose sight of that, when you're stuck in the day to day and you kind of get bored of it or psychologically checked out, you got to check in with yourself and be like, hey, do I just need to take a day off, unplug, not go to the gym, eat whatever I want?
Do you have those days as a
Hell
older
yeah,
person?
dude. Oh my God, of course I do.
Hey, if he's having those days, you can have those days too. That's okay.
Absolutely, 100%. Dude. Absolutely. That's one of the best things to understand is like it's
that's a hard one though. I feel like for most people, like to have those days and just be okay with that, it's really hard to accept it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, like you beat yourself up so much for making the mistake that you almost...
Because I have a friend like you she's an all-in person and like it's really hard for her to be laid back.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know about you, but like do you think it's hard for you to be maybe more laid back sometimes, more relaxed, or like...
I definitely got to fight myself more than probably people who have a bit more of a balanced outlook on things. Okay. And again, that's just like, you have to understand yourself too. You got to know the type of person that 100%, you are. 100%, yeah. Because not everybody's like me. Like not everybody's going to be all in immediately. And I think like, I don't know if maybe you have a question about this, but if there's any piece of advice that I could give, it's like, be okay just starting somewhere. Yeah. Start with one thing.
Exactly. Start with one thing.
You don't have to go all in right away. Yeah. It took
fix a couple habits.
Hell yeah.
And you know.
Yeah, just 100%. Get yourself to the gym a few times a week. Yeah. Start learning about the exercises, and over time you start to accumulate knowledge. You learn your body. You learn the type of person you are.
You learn so much. Yeah. 100%.
And then as long as you're willing to change parts of yourself to get to the goal that you want to get to, it's totally fine to start slow. Yeah. So just be willing to start.
How do you maintain your fitness now, and has your approach evolved?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm always learning, and I feel like you understand this too. Like you and I have been in this for a long time. We've been doing it for years, and the one thing that you learn is that you have to always remain a student in order to improve.
Man, that's the biggest thing actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've been doing this for 8 years, and what I like to do actually, which kind of like goes against the, because I don't know about you, but I've been in the personal training space for a while, and I feel like there's a lot of egotistical trainers in the industry.
Oh yeah.
But when I meet trainers, I like to learn from, even though I may have more experience, I still like to learn from trainers. I feel like there's always something you could learn from trainers.
Yeah.
You know, so if I get the opportunity to learn from a different trainer, I'm doing it. I'm not going to try to be all egotistical. I'm like, no, this is how you do that. Like, man, there's too much of that in the industry. So you're right. Always being a student in every aspect. Yeah.
Like there's certain fundamental principles of fitness and nutrition that are non-negotiable, right? Yeah. Calories in, calories out, progressive overload, good programming, enough recovery, enough sleep. Outside of that, almost everything else is pretty flexible.
Yeah, there's different ways to skin a cat. That's that saying,
different ways to skin a cat. Different ways 100%. To skin a cat. And also to understand that your body type, the type of person that you are, your genetic background, like all of that is going to make you respond better or worse or differently to
100%.
Somebody else doing the same program, having the same nutrition. Yeah. So also understanding what works for you and may not work for somebody else. Yeah. So trial and error is key. You got to try something, just start somewhere. Yeah. Try something, see what your own results are, measure it. Measure your weight, measure your strength in the gym, measure what you're doing, and if that's improving with what you're doing, then continue. And if not, try something else.
I can't believe you're taller than me, though. What the hell, man?
Hate to break it to you. But this guy's still huge, though.
Yeah, but
don't doubt
it's cool. It was good having you on, Ryan.
Respect, bro.
It's gonna be hard to find a subscriber that's as cool as Ryan, honestly.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
Yeah, it was a pleasure having you on.
This is such a cool full circle moment for me because I mean, genuinely, this guy's videos were some of the first pieces of content that actually helped me understand how to eat and led to it was like one of the catalysts for some of the biggest changes in my life.
I'm glad I was able to have that influence in your life. Like when anyone messages me.
Yeah.
And they told me I have any sort of influence to the progress they made. Yeah. That is the best feeling ever, honestly. So
you helped me get to where I am, bro.
Really good.
Yeah. It's awesome to be here.
I'm not gonna cry on camera. And until next time, peace.
Peace.
Yeah.